but they were known, their parents knew the powers that be. What I was mad about more than anything about him getting cut was just the fact that we were just so in the dark about the process.
Right.
I mean, there was no communication from the club. It was just show up here this time. And at the time, tryouts were 4 days.
Wow. Okay.
Monday through Thursday. And they were in North Raleigh. Of course, that doesn't mean anything to you, but it was, 30 miles away from my house.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
he had to be there right after work. Right. So, it was a struggle for us to even get him to tryouts.
Yeah, well, that's unusual, I think, at least from my experience. Were tryouts held down there? Was this in the off season? Like, was there a season going on, or for
no?
club?
We always have tryouts at the end of May, right after state cup ends.
Okay. And the reason I ask that, because around here, and one of the other more difficult aspects with the whole thing, when you have a lot of clubs in an area and more clubs, tryout dates, one club will move up their tryout dates to get ahead of others, and then other clubs, so and it can get really awkward. Here it's right smack in the middle of our spring season.
Wow.
Right? Like, our spring season first games are usually around the first weekend in March, and they go through, to Memorial Day or maybe a little into June, depending on weather and stuff. And tryouts, a lot of clubs, they start holding them in early April. And so we have two, and it's usually we have one like on a Tuesday night, and then a week later or 2 weeks later, it's a Wednesday night, because you're also juggling kids on teams wanting to maybe try out at another club, right? And it gets
that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy, right? So then you have the musical chairs of clubs want to get their offers and get people to commit, and parents might be like, well, I want to play here, kind of like college, but my first choice is over there, and they haven't made a decision yet.
That's a recipe for chaos.
It is chaos, and that's why when I started, it was you send out an offer and they accept it or not. And what a lot of clubs do now is acceptance doesn't matter unless there's a deposit put down, because you had too many people saying we accept, and then you think you have a roster, and then 3 weeks later 4 or 5 kids leave because they got a later offer somewhere else they'd rather go. And I know I got off track, but this is
no. Well, here all the clubs start at the same time.
Okay.
So they supposedly prevents club hopping, and in a way it does. But when we moved clubs, because he tried out at our club, he missed tryouts at the club we were going to.
Right.
So he went to supplemental tryouts, and they just put everybody who they accepted supplemental tryouts on the bottom team. So, first year we were just on the bottom team, and
right.
He struggled, and that was another way it was easy for me to get Dante to accept a bad season. I told him, I said, look, you're going to be on the bottom team. I said, the good news is you'll get plenty of playing time.
Right.
And
that's huge, though, when you're younger. I mean, that's really is more important.
So when we were struggling through that season, I just told him, well, play as hard as you can, go to tryouts next year, and we'll see if you can move up.
Okay. Yeah, because that was going to be my next question, was the losing right out of the gate, and how did he handle that? Because it's, you said 11, right? So
yes.
He's a little older than, at least around here. Not that everyone starts at that age, but I think the first teams around here for travel are U8. And so, he's starting it as 11. And so he's a little older, so he might be more aware of the losing than, say, when you're 7 or 8 years old. I mean, obviously kids notice it, yes, but it's a different feeling as you get a little older. So he probably noticed it a little more at that age. And
he did. And, we talked about it a lot, and,
right.
I just told him to focus, and that was also the year that we actually started him with some supplemental training.
Okay.
Because as you know, Dante is very tall, and
Yes.
He's all legs.
Yes.
And so, at 11, he was growing like, it seemed like an inch a month.
Right.
And, he was a little uncoordinated. So, we did everything we could to get his legs under control.
Right.
And
you hit another good point. That's tough too, but going through that age.
Yes.
I mean, I had some players who were, really good at 8, 9, 10, relatively speaking. And I had some girls that when we were U11, U12, they really struggled. But it was something that, it was difficult. In a way, being a B team for us, it was good because we didn't really have options other than to go through it. And some of those girls are some of my best players now. They just, they're growing up and they just had that awkwardness, and you got to get through it. And that's another thing that's tough about tryouts and which team you go on is getting that opportunity to grow and develop, because as you've witnessed, it's not a straight line.
No,
right? It doesn't go, it's up and down and backwards and all over the place. And you have to have the right people, whether it's the parents and how they handle it and the coaches, of allowing that to happen.
Yes.
So now I want to go back just to one thing real quick, just to the chaos of traveling. You have tryouts all the same time, you said. But does that mean the way it's done is you kind of have to pick the club you're going to try out at?
Yes.
Or, okay. See, now that's another kind of chaos, though, because that makes it really tough for the players and parents, and almost gives the clubs a little too much leverage. Because you've almost committed before tryouts that you're going to make that team or you're not.
Yes.
That's a whole nother.
I think it does give the clubs too much leverage.
Yeah.
But, now that you described the way you guys do it.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It may be okay, but,
you got to find a way in between.
It's so big, we're going to be an outlier regardless of how you do it.
Well, true.
We got 14,000 kids in our club.
That's crazy.
So, it's just different than every other club. But we're starting to get a lot of the other clubs, starting to try to poach at our kids, and
right.
The ones that get cut, especially get cut from elite level teams. They've got somebody in their ear. You can come play for us.
Right. Yeah. Well, that starts happening a lot as they get older. I know some coaches who get into that nonsense when teams are shaking hands after a game.
Oh, wow.
And they'll obviously very briefly, but in certain words, basically recruit players on the other team that impressed them. I'm telling you, I think college is easier for sports, right? The coaches go recruit players from high school and they commit to that college, or they don't. Once you're there, okay, some transfer, but still, it's not like this. It's not. It's real quick on that to give you the chaos that I'm talking about. And I think that the club went to the whole deposit thing the next season, but this really affected us because way back, I think it was at U10, between U10 and U11, and we were the B team, right? So of course the A team gets choice of players for their roster and tryouts and everything, and then we get it. Well, I guess it was mid-June, so spring season's over. It was 8v8 at the time. The A team had 13 players that they rostered. Perfect. Everything's great. Mid-June, 5 of those players left. They bailed and went elsewhere, which left them with nine players. And of course, us, who already had our roster set, which was, now luckily it worked out, and the other coach was great in going to look for other players to fill the roster. But it very could have easily been, they took 3 or 4 girls from us, and then we didn't have numbers and the rest of the girls didn't get to play. And that's kind of where the deposit comes in, because it gets crazy.
Wow.
It just gets, it's ridiculous. I don't know how you fix that. Honestly, I would love to have a plan for that, but there's got to be a happy medium between these two types of tryout situations.
Yes, but, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, right?
Yes.
So when he tried out for, is that the club where you currently are? He got cut, and then he tried out where he is.
Yes,
now?
our
Okay.
current club now, he got cut, and then we went to a smaller club.
Okay, and then you came
Well,
back.
the next
They recruited
year,
him.
the next year he made the top team in his age group.
Okay, good.
That was the first year they played full field.
Right. Okay.
And everything was going great. We had a coach that we loved and everything. And then our coach and the parent got in a fight in the parking lot after a tournament. So the coach quit.
Wow.
And so we ended up with a filling coach who was okay, but he was used to coaching 17, 18-year-old girls.
Right.
And then you get 12-year-old knuckleheads.
Yeah, not the same.
And he really didn't know how to deal with them.
Right.
You know, you see him over on the sidelines, and our guys would do something, he'd go,
right.
"Oh my!" So he was really out of his element. But you know, I mean, nice guy and pretty good coach.
Yeah.
But you know, we just had chaos, and so the next year, we had just started a DA program, and they had asked Dante to come and try out for it. So,
wow. Okay.
You know, he gets that letter. A week later, we get word that we're going to merge with our former club. So, you know, there's a lesson. When you leave, don't burn bridges.
No, yes, I was just thinking that in my head
Because we went right back to where we started.
Right.
And,
that's funny.
You know, fortunately, didn't burn any bridges. But when we got back with our current club now, which is NCFC, you know, the big monster club, of course, first tryout with the merger, it was kind of ugly. But Dante got put on the team mostly with people from our old club. You know, so of course I was unhappy about that, but fine. And you know, we had a pretty good team, pretty good coach. Won a lot of games. Dante did very well. And then so, you know, we go to challenge. Okay, so now he's playing travel ball, which is called Classic in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And then they have Elite Classic, which
oh boy, here we go.
Well, see, in our club, we have a North and South divisions, basically like two clubs.
Okay.
You know, we live in the southern part of Wake County, so we've always been on the South teams.
Right.
And
okay.
North
I know what you mean. The big clubs like, and even ones you've heard of to go national, like PDA, you know, they do that around here. You've got PDA South and PDA Shore and PDA North. Yeah. They're like different clubs in a way.
Elite Classic is made up of like the two top teams that are triangle wide, so they're made up of North and South players.
Okay.
But tryouts are by invitation only. You have to be invited to try out.